She's a diva, I'm not.
She's a diva.
They were little girls. And who's going to be the queen bee? Who's funnier? Who's thinner? Who's prettier?
They would be at one another. By the time I got to the set, they were hugging.
This is what happened when two teenage actresses playing best friends on one of the biggest black sitcoms of the 90s couldn't stand each other in real life, and why their feud lasted nearly 2 decades before they finally made peace. From 1996 to 2001, Moesha was one of UPN's biggest hits, with Brandy Norwood starring as Moesha Mitchell and Countess Vaughn playing her best friend, Kimberly Ann Parker. On screen, they were inseparable. Off-screen, it was a completely different story, and in April 1998, right in the middle of the show's run, Brandy decided to tell the world exactly what was happening behind the scenes. In an interview with Vibe magazine, Brandy didn't soften a word of it. "I think she's very funny, very talented," she told the publication. "I just feel like she wants to be in the position I'm in. People tell her, 'You're the reason why the show's successful,' and she's told me that before." Then came the specific confrontation. "She's called me a bitch to my face. She said, 'I'm the reason why the show is successful, bitch,' in front of a lot of people. And I looked at her like, wow, she knows. She wakes up and looks at herself in the mirror and gets disgusted. I don't." That last line landed like a verdict. This wasn't a professional disagreement, it was personal, and Brandy was delivering it publicly while the two of them still had to show up to set together every day. To understand how things reached that point, start with where each of them stood when Moesha began. Brandy was 15 when the show premiered in 1996, and she was already one of the fastest rising names in entertainment, managing a platinum-selling music career alongside the starring role in her own television show, an extraordinary amount of pressure for anyone, let alone a teenager still figuring out who she was. Countess Vaughn came into Moesha at 17 with a resume that started at age 3 singing in church, ran through a Star Search victory at 9 years old as both junior vocalist champion and overall junior champion, and included a prior role on the sitcom 227. She was talented, she was genuinely funny, and she carried no illusions about it. The conflict at the center of their dynamic was straightforward: competition over credit. Brandy's name was in the title of the show, but Countess Vaughn's character, Kim Parker, drew enormous audience affection, and people were telling Countess Vaughn she was the reason Moesha worked. According to Brandy, Countess took that message directly to her in front of other people in terms that left no room for interpretation. None of this played out in isolation. Both of them were navigating the specific pressures that come with being child stars: teenage insecurity, industry scrutiny, and the daily requirement to perform a close friendship they didn't actually feel. That combination, sustained over years, creates conditions where tensions don't stay quiet for long. Moesha ended in May 2011 after 6 seasons. The Parkers closed in 2004. For more than a decade after that, Brandy and Countess rarely mentioned each other publicly, and when they did, the warmth wasn't there. The feud just sat, unresolved, for the better part of 20 years. That changed on December 19, 2015, when Countess posted a lengthy apology to Brandy on Instagram. "We've been through our ups and downs, highs and lows. We are spiritual siblings, you and I. I know this to be true, and it means a lot to me. I apologize for anything negative I've ever done or said to you. Sorry this had to be on social media. I just want the world to see that I've grown out of my comfort zone. At the end of the day, I had to learn and find myself. Why not be friends when we're both talented? Why call you names when you're just an amazing person? I'm proud of you for being you." 2 days later, on December 21, 2015, Brandy responded, "Oh, Countess, my heart is touched right now. You are beautiful to me, always have been and always will be. I'm so thankful that we had such an amazing journey together as artists and as sisters growing up and growing through the pressures of being child stars. I would love to start a new friendship with you, with new heads on both of our shoulders. Without you, Moesha would not have lasted as long as it did. I love you." That last line matters more than everything else in the exchange. Without you, Moesha would not have lasted as long as it did. Nearly 20 years after the Vibe magazine interview, Brandy publicly acknowledged what she couldn't bring herself to say in 1998, that Countess Vaughn's contribution to the show was real, that it mattered, and that she deserved the credit. Not instead of Brandy, alongside her. Countess replied, "I'm in tears right now. God will do it. Love you. Growth. Sisters." 17 or 18 years of animosity, and that's how it ended, in Instagram comments. Reports suggest some kind of setback emerged around 2016, roughly a year after the reconciliation, where Countess appeared to have second thoughts, though the details of what happened remain unverified. In 2018, a Moesha cast reunion aired on The Real, with fans hoping for news of a reboot or finale to address the show's unresolved cliffhanger, and the state of Brandy and Countess's relationship at that event isn't clear from available sources. As of 2024, neither has made new public statements about the other. Countess Vaughn remains active on TikTok and social media, navigating complications from thyroid disease, with a net worth estimated between $900,000 and $1.5 million. Brandy is still working across both music and film. In 2024, she starred in the A24 production The Front Room and returned as Cinderella for Disney Plus's Descendants: The Rise of Red. One social media commenter captured the whole arc cleanly. "They were all so young. It's nice to see the ladies move beyond teenage beef." Another offered this: "I remember Brandy being on Tavis Smiley's show and being asked about the beef. She said that the rumors were true and it wasn't a big deal. They just didn't get along." She also added that there's people at our jobs we don't care for as well, but no one cares because we aren't celebrities. That observation cuts to the core of the whole story. Brandy was 15 years old and already a star, carrying pressure that would flatten most adults. Countess was 17, equally talented, consigned to the supporting role while people whispered that she was the real reason the show worked. That combination, two ambitious, gifted teenagers in a high-stakes professional environment, each carrying the particular weight that comes with being young and famous, is a recipe for conflict in any workplace. The fact that they had to perform a loving best friendship on camera while barely tolerating each other off it makes the 6-season run more impressive in hindsight, not less. And what the 2015 reconciliation demonstrates is that growth is possible, that time and reflection can close gaps that once felt permanent, and that the people you couldn't stand when you were 15 are sometimes the people you can genuinely respect once you've both done the work of becoming adults. That's the real story of why Brandy and Countess Vaughn didn't get along on Moesha. Not because one of them was impossible, because they were both young, both talented, both human, and eventually both willing to admit it.